Time now for Back Pages tonight here on Sky Sports News, bringing you a first look at the sports stories in the morning's newspapers. Joining us are the Sun's Kidd and Martyn Ziegler from The Times. Welcome to you both. Let's quickly run through the back pages. Telegraph main headline, Coote in new video shocker. Kane attacks England pullouts. Times again, same lead, Coote white powder video. Rivals there to the side, one of Martin's stories on the back page. Targets City damages and Kane hits out at withdrawals. The squad from the England squad, the story from there. In the Mail, Harry slams the England dropouts is the big headline. Under fire ref Coote in white powder shame. And 4 clubs in move to sue City. That's Manchester City. Metro back page, Harry hits out at absent teammates. And Iron Mike set to quote-unquote explode in showdown with Jake Paul. And in the Eye, the back page has Kane, absent teammates are taking advantage of Tuchel's delayed start. OK, well, let's start with the Telegraph Sports Supplement then. Tom Morgan and Sam Wallace reporting on the story for them. Coote in new video shocker. Clip alleged to show referee snorting a white powder. Source claims act performed 24 hours after Euros match. Another story on David Coote. The papers are covering, Dave, but stems from your publication, The Sun. Give us the details of what we know at this stage.
Yeah, my colleagues on the news desk broke this story online this afternoon. Obviously, only a couple of days after the release of the video of Coote apparently making derogatory comments about Jurgen Klopp, for which he's been suspended pending a full investigation. This latest video appears to show Coote snorting a white powder while in a hotel room paid for by UEFA while he's on duty as an assistant VAR during the Euros in Germany this summer. And it just appears that this guy's career seems to be, unraveling before our eyes in the last couple of days. It's, quite troubling on a human level. But, this is a guy who it would appear, has committed some very serious errors of judgment in his personal life, and now seems to, quite possibly be paying a pretty high price for that.
Personal life very much public at the moment, or appears to be. The back page of the Times, Martin, you are reporting on this yourself. Coote white powder video is the headline. UEFA suspended the Premier League referee David Coote after a video was published appearing to show him snorting a white powder during Euro 2024 in Germany, where he was working as a video assistant referee. Obviously affecting David Coote very much at the moment, Martin, but also the PGMOL. What have they had to say on the matter?
Yeah, I mean, they say that they're taking this extremely seriously, but also that actually one of their priorities is his own welfare. He's clearly in a bad place at the moment, and they are providing him with the necessary support because whatever he's done, whatever mistakes have been made, he's clearly at the centre of a storm here, isn't he? And so, not surprisingly, there are some concerns about him.
Yeah, reporting there that it's believed Coote had filmed himself using a rolled-up American banknote, sent the clip to a friend on WhatsApp. Any on this, and we get it, we will bring you on Sky Sports News. Let's talk about England then, Martin and Dave. Let's go to the back page of the Mail. Harry slams the England dropouts. Players should always put the 3 lines first, roars skipper Sammy Mockbell, chief football reporter for the Mail, with this story. Dave, how surprised by how unequivocal Harry Kane were you?
A little surprised, but I mean, he's right, that's for sure. This is a bit of a phantom football match I'm out here in Athens covering because the England manager is not here. He's not deigning to start work for England until January. Won't be taking a charge of a match until March. Half of the England squad aren't here. Most of their senior players aren't here. Most of their attacking players aren't here. England supposedly need to win this game, but they do need to win this game by 2 goals tomorrow night to have a serious chance of topping the group and getting automatic promotion in the Nations League. I think we were told the Nations League was very important when England were doing well in it a few years ago, but not so much now, it seems. No one could be bothered to turn up. I think Kane's become a little bit more outspoken actually on issues like this since he's been in Munich. Funny enough, he started to open up a little bit more. Maybe that's just with his seniority and experience. He feels a bit more relaxed with the media. Any interview with ITV, I think it was today, he gave some very, very straight answers, saying he really didn't like the idea of players taking advantage of what is now this hiatus, because we cannot imagine that 8 players would have withdrawn from England's original squad name last week if Thomas Tuchel had been in the building and had been in charge. There were 2 or 3 of those players who have definitely got injuries that they would have withdrawn with. There are several others with whom it seems much more of a grey area. A lot of these players, of course, are playing with minor injuries or sometimes even with more significant injury. Declan Rice started for Arsenal against Chelsea with a broken toe that he'd sustained before that, at the start of that game, not this game. And there are others, 2 Chelsea players, Palmer and Colwill, as well as Foden, the Manchester City, played all 90 minutes for their clubs at the weekend. So the club free country debate, which Southgate seemed to alleviate so much during his 8-year reign, now seems to be exploding now in the FA's faces. And I think they've only got themselves to blame with the timing of the Tuchel appointment.
Well, 9 players have now left the squad, haven't they? Jared Branthwaite was called up but hasn't been able to make it after training. This is the back page of the Metro. Harry hits out on absent teammates. Matthew Nash reporting. A quote here, Martin, from Kane. This is regarding the joy it was to play for England that Southgate brought back. Every camp, people were excited to come. People wanted to play for England, and that's the most important thing. England club comes before anything, comes before club. Do you feel the captain has felt the need to assert some sort of authority in what appears to be a vacuum?
Potentially. I'm quite shocked in a way that he's spoken out so strongly. I can't remember any England captain speaking out about his teammates like this in the 30 years in journalism. I think quite remarkable. And what's the atmosphere going to be like with those players when they get, if they are recalled to Tuchel's first squad? It might be a little bit tense, you think? So I think I think I can understand why Kane is feeling like this. He's probably feeling a bit personally let down himself that so many of these sort of players aren't or are using this as an opportunity not to turn up for England because they don't think it's going to be particularly to their benefit if a new man's going to come in January, because obviously Tuchel will be starting with a clean slate. So you can see though on one hand they want to prioritise their clubs because that's their sort of pays their daily wage, but from Kane's point of view, I think he's very patriotic, and he just thinks he's been personally let down as well as Lee Carsley.
It's a big shout as well, isn't it, to say that the country comes first when the clubs are paying them such extraordinary wages. But nonetheless, that's very much the thrust of what Harry Kane said repeatedly there. This is the eye. Kane absent teammates are, quote, taking advantage of Tuchel's delayed start. Dave, you mentioned that. It feels a bit like not doing your homework when the supply teacher's in a little bit, doesn't it? But surely Tuchel may not be there, but he's watching on from Munich or wherever he is, and this will count against players if their reports of injuries are questionable, won't it?
Yeah, we assume Tuchel will bother to tune in and watch the match. He's not going to be coming here. He's not going to be at Wembley on Sunday, we're told. It is a staggering. I thought it was extraordinary on the day that he was appointed when this first came up, and I was aware that this international break, this week's internationals, we're going to have a really strange feel about them, and they really do, and particularly after say the 8 withdrawals, and then even one of the players who was brought in to replace the injured players was apparently already injured, which is Jared Branthwaite. But it is extraordinary turn of events, and England were embarrassed by Greece at Wembley last month. It was actually only 2-1, even though Greece are only ranked about number 50 in the world at that point. But it could have been 5-1. They had 3 goals disallowed. They absolutely, tore England apart at times. Lee Carsley got the selection all wrong. There's a lot to put right for England tomorrow. They really need to try to restore some pride and win this match because it's certainly one of the more shambolic England performances of recent years. And I think this is all part of the fact that the FA have completely botched the handling of Southgate, the transition between Southgate leaving Tuchel arriving. And I feel rather sorry for Carsley. He's a good coach and a good man, but he's been hung out to dry, I'm afraid.
Well, indeed, he didn't help himself in that selection against Greece. As you said, that a lot of those attacking players aren't there, Martin, so that's one relief, I suppose, for Carsley. He won't be able to do that in Athens on Thursday night. A challenging game, though, isn't it? Interesting to hear Anthony Gordon smarting from that as well, talking of revenge, and also saying here in the back page of the Eye, there is no chance I wouldn't come here. Gordon hungry to nail down his England shirt. Carsley's been pretty diplomatic, hasn't he, Martin, saying it is an opportunity for those players who are there. The focus is on them. How big a winner could Anthony Gordon be from this couple of games in terms of nailing down that left wing position?
He certainly, I mean, I'm sure Tuchel will be looking at this very carefully and seeing what comes out from it. And yes, you say, Gordon has shown those flashes, which if he can do it on a more consistent basis, he could perhaps break into that squad. It will certainly be a big part of Tuchel's thinking, I'm sure. But it is going to be really, really tough. It was such a terrible performance when they played Greece the last time. And the Nations League, I mean, whether you think it's, a tournament worth winning or competing hard in or not, it does have an important bearing on things like seeding and for future tournaments. So I think England can't take this lightly, and that's probably why Kane is so disappointed with the players, because I think if they're thinking they're regarding this as a friendly, it's not a friendly. It's quite an important tournament.
Absolutely, getting to that top league.
We were speaking to Anthony Gordon earlier today, and he was expected to withdraw from this squad. One of the players who definitely had a knock. He injured his hip against Nottingham Forest on Sunday, and is here. I think players like Gordon and Kane, who apparently has had a few injury issues this season for Munich, they're really going to feel it. These players who have pulled out when their injury problems don't seem anywhere near as bad.
Yeah, it feels like a big contrast, doesn't it, in spirit to the captain, Harry Kane, who in the past has been criticised for playing seemingly with injuries. A different story for those players not there. Dave and Martin, thank you very much for now. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at more of the back pages, including this in the Metro. Big boxing match, if you'd call it that. Iron Mike set to quote-unquote explode in showdown with Jake Paul. Mike Tyson at the age of 58 getting back in the ring. You are watching Back Pages tonight. Welcome back to you and welcome back to the Sun's Dave Kidd and Martyn Ziegler from The Times. So, Martin, let's come to your second story on the back page of your paper going into Thursday here. The exclusive Rivals Target City Damages. Martin, just tell us about this story regarding Manchester City.
Yeah, four of City's main rivals, Manchester United, Liverpool, Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur, have lodged the legal claims which would give them the right to claim compensation should Manchester City be found guilty of the most serious of the 115 alleged rule breaches. They had to do this, according to their legal advice, before a deadline of last week, because of a sort of statute of limitations. So these applications have been made, and they will obviously have to wait for the outcome of the case, which is still going on at the moment with the regulatory commission appointed by the Premier League. So this is basically those clubs serving notice that they could claim compensation. And in a similar way, 5 clubs did a similar sort of application when Everton were being dealt with by the Premier League for profit and sustainability rule breaches last season. So it's basically clubs hoping that if something is going to happen to Manchester City, that they will be in a position to claim some sort of compensation for example, not qualifying for the Champions League for several seasons.
OK, well, Manchester City deny all wrongdoing, as we know, in this ongoing case of 115 charges. Dave, what's your read into this? Back page of the Mail, Mike Keegan reporting 4 clubs in move to sue City. Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool and Tottenham have taken legal action so they can claim compensation should Manchester City be found guilty of breaching the Premier League financial rules. This could get pretty messy, couldn't it, Dave?
Yeah, it's a good story from Martin, but it's not one that's made me fall off my seat in astonishment. The idea that those 4 clubs in particular should have pound signs in their eyes as a result of the City legal action. They're very much reverting to type there. Of course, others are going to try. If City are found guilty of all or most of those charges, clearly their rivals are going to see this as an opportunity to be seized upon in several different ways, both sporting and financial. And what the outcome of that all remains to be seen. But there will be huge ramifications if City are found guilty, that's for sure. This could only be the start of it, really.
Yep, City denying the charges, and we'll bring any resolution as soon as we get the news here on Sky Sports News, of course. Let's talk about Rodrigo Bentancur in the Mirror here, reporting Bentancur's ban. Mark Jones has the story. Tottenham midfielder Rodrigo Bentancur will be hit with a 7-game domestic ban by the FA for comments he made about his captain Son Heung-min. Even in the summer. The FA confirmed earlier this year that Bentancur had been charged. There were questions about whether it was in the jurisdiction of the FA, but I suppose that's been resolved, Martin. And how powerful a statement is this?
Yeah, so I mean, the FA does have a minimum 6-match ban for anyone involved in the game who's guilty of an aggravated offence of referring to somebody's race or nationality. So that would be the starting point. So according to this report, that's one more match than that. Because I think there was a sort of thoughts that because this didn't take place in the UK, it happened in Uruguay, would that be out of the FA's jurisdiction? But there have been plenty of examples in the past where that hasn't made a difference. So I think it's I think there's sort of resignation at Tottenham Hotspur and with the players himself and his representatives that he's going to have to serve a lengthy ban.
Dave, quick thought from you. It's a big blow for Tottenham, particularly at a quite fragile time in the season from the last couple of results.
Yeah, they've had some shocking results recently. I mean, they've been wildly inconsistent more than anything. But I mean, the results, the defeats against Ipswich and Crystal Palace, the only two matches over those clubs have won in the Premier League this season, have been shocking, and they're down in mid-table. Bentancur is a really important player for them in midfield. And I think this just shows you. We know a lot of people, Martin and I, work in the press offices of Premier League clubs. They often dread it into international breaks. These guys go off to different parts of the world, see their home media, and they quite often get very loose-lipped. It's not usually as serious as this. It's maybe just something more embarrassing for the club. But this is, obviously a very serious incident involving Son. Bentancur's comments about Son, and he's going to have to pay the price for it.
OK, well, I'll stay with you, Dave, just to get your thoughts on Manchester United. The back page of the Mirror, David McDonnell reporting Bruno new boss Ruben will change the energy. Bruno Fernandes reckons new Manchester United boss Ruben Amorim can, quote, change the energy and make the fallen giants great again. It's always difficult, isn't it, to, I suppose, not denigrate the previous manager too much when the new head coach comes in. But does that surprise you that there's a lack of energy that Fernandes is hinting at?
I think he's been very honest again. As a footballer's being honest today, it's one of those. It's unusual, really. But Kane answered that question very well, I thought, earlier about his absent teammates. And Fernandes, admitting there's been a lack of energy. There's certainly been a lack of unity, a lack of a game plan, a lack of energy. Lots of kind of things that have been missing at Old Trafford. I think, we've probably seen the last 6 or 7, I think it's been 6 previous managers since Ferguson come in, and somebody on the staff has probably made similar comments that the new guy's going to come in and improve everything. But this time, I believe Fernandes. I think Amorim's the most exciting appointment United have made since Ferguson. I think, in terms of his personality, more importantly in terms of his football, he's a young coach on an upward trajectory. I think he's got a great force of personality. I think that can't be underestimated. That's what Ten Hag certainly didn't have. And he really struggled with that and getting his message across to supporters and, more importantly, to his team. I think Amorim's got all that in spades, as well as being a very good, tactically adept young manager. So, I think we may finally see. It will take time, by the way, because there's still a very disjointed squad there. But I think United could be on the rise again before long.
Yeah, a glowing tribute for Ruben Amorim by Bruno Fernandes, going back to the history of Sporting there and seeing what he's achieved in that context. Fernandes, of course, coming back into form under the interim coach, Ruud van Nistelrooy. Let's talk Arsenal. Martin, we've spoken or mentioned, of course, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, a couple of injury concerns as well. But they're at the top of the Mirror. White Hell by John Cross. Ben White's delivered another injury blow to Arsenal. Gunners defender White had undergone a surgical procedure to resolve a knee issue. How complicated is the near future for Mikel Arteta looking at the moment, Martin?
Yeah, I think he's Ben White is a pretty serious blow. I think because he had been such a consistent player in his position last season. He was one of the top players for Arsenal. They don't really have I can say like a ready-made replacement. We've seen Partey play there sometimes, so I think this will be potentially pretty damaging for Arteta. I mean, we've seen before. I think Timber has gone from the left back to right back. But again, that sort of filling is somebody who, that's not his natural position. So I think it'll be Arteta cursing yet another injury blow. He had such a good season last year with injuries. This year, it's a completely different story.
Yeah, like buses all coming at once, unfortunately, for Mikel Arteta and Arsenal. They play Nottingham Forest on Saturday, 23rd of November. We'll see who makes it back for that. One man who is back is Mike Tyson, back page of the Metro, the age of 58, undisputed heavyweight champion from 1987 to 1990, which was 34 years ago. But Iron Mike set to quote-unquote explode in showdown with Jake Paul, the social media YouTube star who's in his 20s. Dave, this could be the most watched boxing match of all time, but could that be a blow for the sport if you look at it in another way in terms of the quality of this?
Yeah, as a lover of boxing, I find these freak shows deeply depressing. Mike Tyson lost his unbeaten record as a professional on my 16th birthday against Buster Douglas. And as you can see from your screens, I'm not a young man anymore. And that's a long, long while ago, something like 34 years ago. What on earth he's doing in the ring against anybody, least of all against, I mean, obviously I'm far too old to know who Mr. Paul actually is, because the kids tell me he's a YouTube sensation. But I mean, this is a great sport. Is being denigrated by too many of these freak shows, I'm afraid. And just the only hope is that Tyson doesn't get seriously hurt. He's a man of 58 now. He should not be anywhere near the ring, and he's got enough money not to be as well. Yeah,
British heavyweight Fraser Clark writing, it's a shambles. Katie's historic rematch isn't topping Texas Bill. That's, of course, Katie Taylor has a big unified rematch against Amanda Serrano, this time at super lightweight. Let's talk golf finally, Martin. We've got about 30 seconds in the Telegraph. US Ryder Cup team in the money. Does this ruin the sport of this magical old tournament? The American players potentially going to get paid?
Well, I think the Europeans will certainly think it does, and they're not going to follow suit, even if the Americans do. I think Luke Donald said it's the purest form of sport. You're not playing for money for once. He's playing for the intrinsic values of your team. And I think that's a pretty strong message from the Europeans. You can understand why the Americans, they think that their organisations are making money out of them, but it does feel wrong to me.
Tiger Woods says they should get paid, but he would give it to charity. Players set to receive close to £4 million, $4 million next year's meeting. That's collectively, of course, they're all multi-millionaires, or most of them at least. Martin and Dave, thank you very much for being on Back Pages tonight. Great to see you. We'll see you again soon, I hope.